Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera to all delegates. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome all presenters, participants and delegates to International Conference of Management Social Sciences and Humanities, or what we call as ICMeSH 2020. So the overall theme of our conference is integrating values of the humanities and management for a sustainable future. Ladies and gentlemen, you are currently in our first parallel session of the conference under the theme of 21st Century Learning Approaches and Sustainable Innovation in Language and Communication. I am Shahrina binti Muhammad Nur. I will chair our first session today. Before we begin with the presentations, I would like to invite the conference chair, Associate Professor Dr. Lai Fong Woon, to deliver his opening remarks.
And Humanities, or ICMeSH 2020. ICMeSH 2020 is one of the 9 conferences conducted concurrently. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am Associate Professor Dr. Lai Fong Woon, Chairman for the International Conference for Management, Social Sciences and Humanities, or ICMeSH 2020. ICMeSH 2020 is one of the 9 conferences conducted concurrently under the umbrella of the World Engineering, Science and Technology Congress, or ISCON 2020, a biannual congress organized by University Technology Petronas (UTP) and the Management and Humanities Department. It is a pleasure to welcome respected speakers, delegates, and participants to the ICMeSH 2020. With this year's conference theme of integrating values of the humanities and management for a sustainable future, our focus is to study managerial challenges and to scrutinize the crossroads between human values in the conventional sense as they confront or collide with 21st century industrial and technological shifts, such as the Industrial Revolution 4.0, especially as this shift inevitably disrupt our lives and even livelihoods in terms of socio-economic and cultural changes. We have 2 prominent plenary speakers, one being the captain of the industry and another is a professor from the academia. They will share their thoughts on the issues surrounding digital change, sustainable development, and humanities. Ladies and gentlemen, organizations and businesses have rigorously prepared themselves for the challenges in the event of IR 4.0. However, be that as it may, as it turned out, the biggest disruption in our lives has been the global COVID-19 pandemic that has changed the way we operate. This disruption has also forced us to conduct our conference virtually. Nevertheless, I hope that you will see this disruption as an opportunity and make the most of this by turning it into an advantage. Our online conference platform, therefore, provides our delegates with a multitude of contact points and communication tools to exchange ideas and thoughts, as well as to form strategic networks. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my committee members who have in the last few years worked very hard to prepare for this conference. Despite the impact of the pandemic, our team has been able to navigate the obstacles successfully in order to ensure that our conference session will run smoothly. I also would like to express utmost gratitude to our conference co-organizers, namely University of Nizwa, Oman, FPT University, Vietnam, Swinburne University of Technology, Sarawak Campus, International University of Malaya, Wales, University Malaysia, Terengganu, as well as to our sponsors, Makostia, Sendirian Berhad, and Creative Minds, Sendirian Berhad, for all their support and contribution. Finally, I would like to wish all ICMeSH 2020 conference delegates a fruitful, insightful, and meaningful conference. I hope that we will come away from this conference with newfound knowledge about important social and cultural issues that affect us now and going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Lai Fong Woon, for the welcoming remark to our delegates. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow us to share with you the montage of Management and Humanities Department, which is the main organizer of ICMeSH 2020. I hope you have enjoyed the montage. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's now continue with the parallel sessions. There will be 7 presentations in this session, and each presentation will take about 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A session after each recorded presentation. Before we begin the session, I would like to invite the audience to use the live Q&A box at the bottom that you can see at the bottom of your screen to ask questions. So the speaker shall address your questions right after the presentation. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you our first presenter, Dr. Hairuzila Idrus. She is a senior lecturer at University Technology Petronas who will be presenting a paper entitled Implementation of Peer Review Assessment to Engineering Students. Let's listen to her pre-recorded video.
Good afternoon and Assalamualaikum, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harizullah Idrus, and today I'm going to present a paper with the title Implementation of Online Peer Review Assessment to Engineering Students. My co-authors, my colleague from Universitas from University Technology Petronas and also from Universitas Muhammadiyah Professor Dr. Hamka in Jakarta. So they are Dr. Heri Mulyono from UHAMKA, Dr. Raihan Mahiran Ramli from UTP, Dr. Ena Bhattacharya from UTP, and Dr. Siti Zulaikha from UHAMKA. Okay, so this paper is actually the outcome of part of the outcome of our research collaboration, with UTP and UHAMKA. Okay, all right. Now, let me just go into the introduction here. So I'm just going to give you a little bit background of what is peer assessment. Peer assessment is an activity in a learning process which requires students to give feedback to their peers, and to grade their work or performance using relevant criteria. So they're given certain criteria that they use to evaluate their peers. Usually it's in a group. In a group they evaluate their group members. Right. So online assessment is a kind of assessment that's being conducted over the internet, using online, right? So it has been progressively prevalent at tertiary education, to use this online assessment, because now and students are also technology savvy, we in teaching and learning, technology is being used widely, so then online assessment is also being widely used. All right. Assessment has become progressively trendy. This online assessment has been trendy, especially now during the pandemic era, I would say. But this study actually was conducted before this COVID-19 thingy. All right. So, but of course, online assessment, online teaching and learning has already been conducted earlier. All right. So basically, this kind of assessment, is trendy actually, at tertiary level. Okay. The objective of the study, is to the objective of this paper actually, is to discuss on the findings of the students' perception on the effectiveness of this online peer assessment. All right, and then so the students, why we take the students' perception, because they are the ones who go through this, this online this assessment. So getting their feedback, is actually one of the ways to know the effectiveness of this method of assessment. Besides getting the feedback from the lecturers, the students, feedback from the students are also very important. Because they go through this process. Right. So, right. The methodology that we use. The students were given to do this online assessment in one semester about 2 or 3 times, to make sure that it's consistent. So it's not only once, 2 or 3 times in a semester. Yeah, and then at the end of the semester, they were given a set of questionnaire which we develop ourselves. Yeah, it's a self-developed questionnaire for that we want them to answer to gauge their perception, yeah, of the activity, right? And then then the questionnaire was analyzed using Rush model. Yeah, all right. Okay, so the instrument or the questionnaire is a self-developed questionnaire, yeah, and consists of 17 items, yeah, 17 items and 79 respondents, yeah, 79 respondents who answer this questionnaire, yeah. Okay, so the findings, after we have analyzed this, there are 4 findings that I would like to highlight, in this paper. Is that one is that the students find basically they have positive attitudes, towards this assessment. Yeah, they found that this assessment actually improved their communication skills. Yeah, they basically, even though it's done online, yeah, they communicate with their peers, yeah, giving them feedback, yeah. So it improved their communication skills. Besides that, even though it's done online, they also, since they are working in a group, yeah, they also give feedback to their group members, their peers, yeah, on how to improve and all that. So it somehow make them improve their communication skills, yeah. And also with them being part of the assessment, it develops their sense of participation, yeah, and they feel that they need to participate, yeah, because they are being assessed, yeah, by their peers. If they don't participate, then the assessment will not be good, and therefore it motivates them in their learning. Yeah, okay. Then the third one is that they feel that there is a online the peer assessment is a fair method of evaluation. Yeah, fair, because they have the say in determining the not 100%, but certain percentage in determining their grades. Yeah, so it's not just 100% from the lecturer, and also from one side. It's not one-sided. Yeah, with which they feel, if it's one-sided, it can be there can be biasness there. Yeah, so they feel that it's fair because they have a say, yeah, in the evaluation process. Yeah, all right. And good afternoon and Assalamualaikum, ladies. On how to improve and all that. So it is somehow make them improve their communication skills. Yeah, and also with them being part of the assessment, it develops their sense of participation. Yeah, and they feel that they need to participate. Yeah, because they are being assessed, yeah, by their peers. If they don't participate, then the assessment will not be good, and therefore it motivates them in their learning. Yeah, okay. Then the third one is that they feel that there is a online the peer assessment is a fair method of evaluation. Yeah, fair, because they have the say in determining the not 100%, but certain percentage in determining their grades. Yeah, so it's not just 100% from the lecturer and also from one side. It's not one-sided. Yeah, which they feel, if it's one-sided, it can be there can be biasness there. Yeah, so they feel that it's fair because they have a say, yeah, in the evaluation process. Yeah, all right. And the last one is that they are able to provide constructive feedback to their peers, yeah, on how to improve. Yeah. Besides that, they also, since they in doing this online assessment, they have to follow certain criteria. Yeah. So then they will know, okay, what are the criteria that is required. Yeah. To be or to help them improve in this in this course. Yeah, so because it's being used as assessment. Yeah, all right. So by providing constructive feedback to their peers, yeah, they will help the peers improve and also help themselves to improve. Yeah, okay. Kids, yeah, enhance their communication skills and also critical thinking. Yeah, they have to think critically when they want to evaluate their peers, and also at the same time they reflect back on their own performance. Yeah, all right, and also teamwork. Yeah, teamwork. Yeah, so because they work as a team, right? So the online the peer assessment here, yeah? Peer assessment actually is not just assessing, yeah, but they also develop their soft skills. Yeah, being engineering students, they are very technical. Yeah, they're very technical. Hence, if they can, they do something, it will help them. Yeah, they need the soft skills. Yeah, like it or not, they need the soft skills. So this activity can develop their soft skills. Yeah, right. So it's an so online assessment activity can be conveniently incorporated in education, yeah, to prepare the development of the students' learning, yeah, and also to enhance their soft skills, yeah, because being engineering students, they are technical students, yeah, but they have to develop their soft skills. Yeah, so this activity, in a way, helps them develop their soft skills like communication skills, yeah, teamwork, and also critical thinking skills. All right. So with that, yeah, I end my presentation. Yeah. Before I end, it's actually I would also like to thank my co-authors. Yeah, for working together, working on this paper, and also on this research. Yeah, and also would like to thank UTP for giving the grant, yeah, to work on this study. And before I end, I will go to okay. I will open the floor for Q&A session.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hairuzila, for the very interesting presentation. I heard a lot of benefits, yeah, by implementing peer assessment. Thank you very much. Now, let's welcome Dr. Hairuzila on the screen, yeah, to take the questions. Let me see if there are any questions from the Q&A live box. Right. So just one question here, Doc. Actually, there are a few, but I just would like to ask you one because of the time. The time doesn't permit us at the moment. So you mentioned a lot of benefits, yeah, in implementing peer assessment. But what are the challenges for the lecturers, teachers in implementing peer assessment, especially in big classrooms? Dr. Hairuzila? Can you unmute Dr. Hairuzila because you are muted?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, can.
Yeah, all right. So thank you very much for the question, Dr. Sharina. Okay, the challenges, is big classroom. There will be, because they were divided into small groups. So if the classroom is big, so there were many groups there. And for the lecturer to monitor. Yeah, and another one is that I would say there are some students who were not really in favor of this. That's the challenge. Yeah, so because they feel that they feel that it's the lecturer who should evaluate them, and they feel that the students shouldn't be evaluating their peers. So that's actually the challenge. Okay.
Yes, Dr. Hairuzila, thank you very much for the explanation, Doctor. I'm sure there are many more. We will have, maybe they can email you, Doctor,
Yes.
based on the paper later. Yeah. All right.
All
Thank you
right.
very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Hairuzila.
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, proceed to the next presenter. So the next presenter shall be Dr. Rabiatul Eladwiya Abdul Rahim from University Tenaga Nasional, who will be presenting a paper entitled Exploring User Analysis of Blended Learning Module for Research Methodology course. So let's play the video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day everyone. I'm Rabiatul Eladwiya Abdul Rahim from University Tenaga Nasional Malaysia. I will present my paper entitled Exploring User Analysis of Blended Learning Module for Research Methodology course. This is the presentation outline. First, I will introduce the blended learning, then followed by the ADDIE model, which will be used in this study. Next is the methodology, and followed by findings and discussion. Finally, I will present the conclusion. What is the blended learning? Blended learning is the thoughtful fusion of face-to-face and online learning experience, the convergence of both face-to-face and e-learning structures, strengthening the pedagogy, concentrating on learner-centered approach, enabling learners to actively engage in their studies, constructing knowledge socially and collaboratively, and increasingly the cost effectiveness and flexibility. Blended learning, which involve both face-to-face learning and e-learning modules, has been adopted in the 2000s, and it addresses the problems of pure e-learning, and it also connects learning in and beyond the classroom. Effective instructional design for blended learning may cause students' engagement towards blended learning. Studies on instructional design in blended learning courses have been carried out by previous researchers. However, there is a lack of empirical studies specifically focusing on the analysis stage. Thus, the objective of this study is to understand users' needs of a blended learning course. What is the ADDIE model? ADDIE model stands for Analysis, Development, Design, Implementation, and Evaluation. This model is said to be the best suit since it looks closely on system-oriented and producing good instructional design. The first stage of the ADDIE model is the analysis. The instructor or developer needs to conduct a user analysis review on the targeted audience. This is to ensure that the developed system accommodates the needs, which in this case is the students. Therefore, it was suggested that in order to conduct a proper student analysis, it must be done carefully prior to designing and implementing stages. For this study, we will look into the user analysis of blended learning for research methodology course. This course is compulsory for all postgraduate students at Unitem. This module was launched as a pilot test in 2019. There are 8 modules, which are Introduction, Problem Formulation, Literature Review, Research Design, Quantitative and Qualitative Data Analysis, Information Literacy Skills, and finally, Proposal Development. The method. This study was exploratory and interpretive in nature. We have conducted semi-structured interviews with 6 postgraduate students from College of Graduate Studies Sinitan who had yet to attend research method course during that time. The student came from business, IT, engineering programs. Several questions were asked, including the students' existing knowledge on research methodology, their learning goals, their motivation to learn, technology affordance, and finally the interest and expectation in blended learning. After that, the analysis was done based on several categories of EDI model. The findings and discussion. In terms of demographics, there are 6 participants who were interviewed. 3 of them were female students, while the rest were male students. 2 of them were PhD students, while the rest were master students. In terms of unit analysis, we identified 4 main categories. First is the analysis of learning environment. In this category, we find that the students preferred if the learning materials are available for downloading. Also, they are looking forward for the recorded session of online face-to-face. The next category of analysis of users. This category, we find that the students have limited knowledge of research methodology. They also looking forward for the lessons on statistical software, and they request for assistance on writing thesis. However, the technology affordance is not an obstacle. The third category is the learning motivation. First, they would like to know on thesis and paper writing. Also, they are highly interested on blended learning due to the cost and time saving. The final category is duration of time. Total of 6 meetups to cover the topics are sufficient. And they did mention that the session will not be less than 1 hour. The preferred time can be weekdays or weekends. However, the schedule must be announced earlier. So from this study, we found that several categories of users requirement, which is very important for the subsequent development of the blended learning module. Through this analysis, we identify additional initiatives that must be included in the development of this course. The limitation of this study. The limitation of this study in terms of the number of postgraduate students who were interviewed, it might shrink the scope of the study, thus the findings for generalization can be limited. Also, the user analysis should be done for diverse, including for undergraduate courses. For the conclusion, this study was undertaken to identify user needs for blended learning module of research methodology course. The finding contributes to the understanding on the students' needs at postgraduate level for a blended learning module. This needs analysis acted as an input for the subsequent phases of blended learning course development. With that, thank you.
Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation, very insightful as well, because we do have a lot of postgraduate students studying research methodology class. Now we shall proceed to the Q&A session, but I'd like to once again invite the audience to the green button, yeah, on the bottom right, touch to go to live Q&A for questioning. You can see, if you can see that there's a button, yeah, for Q&A live chat box, yeah, for questioning for those who just joined. So right, so for the purpose of Q&A session, I would like to invite either Dr. Juraifa Jaiz or Ms. Fairuz Kamurazaman, the co-researcher, to be on screen, if you can. Dr. Juraifa or Ms. Fairuz Kamurazaman. Do we have Dr. Juraifa or Ms. Kamaruzaman? Okay, let's wait a little while. Maybe there's a technical glitch. Yeah? Organized virus was in, but there's a problem with the video. Okay, so all right, so there seems to be a technical glitch. Yeah, it's okay, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you have some burning questions, but maybe you can email the organizer later on the questions that you would like to ask the presenter, because I really thought that the presentation was very good and very related to most of academics in academia. All right, so let's proceed then. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Let's proceed to the next presenter, yeah, Miss Mimi Fitriana. Yeah, I hope she's here, Miss Mimi Fitriana. Right, so we shall now proceed to Miss Mimi Fitriana from International University of Malaya Wales, IUMW, Malaysia, who will be presenting a paper entitled Smart Linguistic Based Cognitive Acquisition Model in Language and Communication Skills Development for the ASD Children, a framework analysis. So let's welcome the video.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Mimi Fitriana Zaini from International University of Malaya Wales, Kuala Lumpur. I am presenting on the Smart Linguistic-Based Cognitive Acquisition Model in Language and Communication Skills Development for ESD Children, a framework analysis. ESD stands for the Autism Spectrum Disorder. Here we are proposing the sustainable learning for learning disabled children, and in this case, we are talking about the autistic children. We discuss on the importance of sustainable learning in education system as to help the parents and guardians, teachers and other professionals managing the children, the ASD children, through the use of the autism education. The importance of this sustainable learning, it enrich the curriculum and ESD teaching method according to other researchers. It enumerates the potential development of learning among the ASD students themselves. Also, the sustainable learning is a comprehensive education to help ESD children develop their cognitive and skills ability better. So talking about the cognitive and skills ability, many research discuss on the importance of sensory capacity for the ESD children. They discuss on the initiation of the thinking ability to stimulate regulation, language regulation and communication production. Also, they discuss on the improvement on the autistic children neurological function in order to have the immediate improvement in academic and behavioral issues. However, this research discusses on the importance of physical movement. Little have been found to discuss on the use of vocalization. Therefore, we are proposing this research. We are having these research objectives. Number one is to identify the components and features of the cognitive acquisition program that supports the development of language and communication acquisition of the ASD children. Our second objective is to incorporate the components and features that we already identified in the first one, into a framework development, which is called as the Smart Linguistic-Based Cognitive Acquisition Model. And we are evaluating the effectiveness of this model based on its concept functionality, accuracy, from the potential users. So we are giving this to the 20 professionals, in order to test this first. All right. According to research, at this moment, the current data, of the autism rate in Malaysia, it is found that it is increased about the 30% from 2008 to 2014. Having this increased, tremendous increase, now we are living in 2021. At this moment, the data that we found is according to Ramachandran 2019, stated on the 1/88 children found to be autistic in 2008, and 1/66 children in 2014. So meaning that 1 in 42 boys found to be autistic, 1 in 189 girls found to be autistic. So these are our current data. What common practice we have here at this moment? Teachers, parents, and other guardians of the ASD children, they are using reading storybooks, for example, to increase the cognitive acquisition skills. At the same time, they are using the conventional channel, such as YouTube videos or television, in order to increase or to improve the ability of the children. Those ability of the children is actually based on the physical movement. For the research that we have at this moment, the current need that we have today is actually to check and to see language and communication skill of ASD children, which will be best trained by stimulating the brain using movement intervention training. Not only the physical movement intervention, but also the vocalization, the verbal intelligence. Research discuss on the importance of verbal expression by displaying some objects or pictures or some vocalization yet to be in the current needs of the autistic children at this moment. Therefore, the aim of our research is to have this smart linguistic-based cognitive acquisition model as a proposed framework for the professional, to be used by the teachers and guardians for those who are working with the ASD children. The model with the smart word here is to introduce, indicating verbal intelligence that will be used to improve their neural communication. All right. There are many earlier research discussed on the importance of the mental regulation of the ASD children, of their neural communication. Also, research discussed on the importance of integration of brain muscle movement, pertaining to physical ability of the children, the autistic children. Also, there are a few other research discussed on the cognitive improvement based on the skill acquisition training provided for the professionals as well, and then for the teachers and so on and so forth, for those who are working with the ASD children. This is to improve the children performance in the school. However, those performance is based on the physical ability of the children. Again, several studies indicated some important use of advanced mobile technology here for cognitive acquisition, intervention. At the same time, they are also talking about the improvement of the cognitive and then language communication, improvement skills among the ASD children. Again, those research indicating the benefit of cognitive skills pertaining to the importance of physical movement ability of the ASD children or autistic children. However, as we stated earlier, language and communication skill for the ASD children are best trained by stimulating the brain, using movement intervention training involving the verbal intelligence to produce verbal expression. This has been discussed by Low and Lee 2011 as well. However, little has been found on the mechanism to provide the framework for the professional to be used. So therefore, our expectation of the outcomes here, number one, is to have this significant impact on the development of cognitive skill ASD children, leading to development inclusive framework of education and curriculum for the ASD children. The second expected outcome, so for the module and intervention, will be further developed by the professionals. At the same time, we are hoping in the future development of the software and mobile app that will help the guardian, parents, and all the instructors of the ESD children to implement the system. Now, when we are looking at the relevant to the government policy, our research is very much relevant to government policy, especially when we look at the Blueprint 2015-2025 pertaining to preschool and higher education, secondary education. In the shift number 7 and shift number 9, leverage ICT to scale up quality learning across Malaysia. At the same time, a partnership with parents, community, and private sector. Equip every parent to support their children's learning capacity. Also, our research is very relevant to the UNESCO's SDG goal number 4, quality education, the outcome target, gender equality and inclusion. And then also it is applicable to the objective of the Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, Department of Social Welfare, objective number 4, enhancing the community's well-being through professional social welfare services. social development and strategic sharing of the responsibility. Our methodology here, we are using descriptive analysis, semi-structured interview, discourse analytic approach through the thematic procedures by looking at the following three main research questions. So the three main research questions generated to be developed based on the cognitive, based on the research objective earlier we have discussed, we have stated. All right. Our sampling method here is we are using purposive sampling technique because we are carefully selecting the 20 ASD professionals, with their expertise, in their own field of the psychology, IT, language, and communication from different background. This is different background. The experts identified from the autism centers in Klang Valley. So we are taking them, or selecting them to be interviewed, on their thought, on the component that we have selected earlier. All right, here, this is our research procedures, and we have 4 phases, in order to have this research procedures. Number one is phase number one is to identify and to analyze components and features of cognitive acquisition, supporting the language and communication development of ASD children. Our phase number 2 is to interview the 20 professionals in cognitive skills acquisition for language and communication components. And then phase number 3, incorporating components and features identified in phase 1, and then verified by the experts in phase number 2, into a smart linguistic-based cognitive acquisition model. Therefore, we established the conceptual model that incorporated cognitive acquisition in language and communication skills for the ASD children within the smart linguistic-based cognitive acquisition model framework. Our data collection, the data collected through interviews, case narrative, observations, as well as field notes methods. We are using the Delphi method. Very important to minimize the bias, in order to develop the research interview questions. So this is to ensure the question are the results of a group of experts in the fields, therefore providing validity to the interviews as well. Our data analysis method through the semi-structured interview, transcription, and discourse analytic procedure. Through the thematic analysis procedure, we are having analyzing the data by using the NVivo and Atlas. As conclusion, this is our novelty of the research. This current study seeks to establish a conceptual framework used in the future as a reference model before developing a technology-based lesson delivery for the autistic children. And then this is effectively to provide parents and guardians of ASD children with the program to improve their language and communication deficiency, skills deficiency. And then also the second novelty in our research is a fundamental study of the merging the cognitive acquisition in language and communication proficiency with smart linguistic-based cognitive acquisition model. So to ensure the framework is valid and reliable before it can be turned into a system, for the next, for the future use of the development computer operating system, as well as the form of the app such as Android and iOS. So we hope that our research fulfills the demand on the learning for sustainability to further enhance the needs of autism education, which also aims to provide the quality education among the Malaysian children. So these are the references that we are using for our study. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much, Miss Mimi Fitriana. We now come to the Q&A session. Right. Miss Fitriana, there are quite a number of questions here. Let me just mention the first one. This is a very noble initiative, especially in ensuring inclusivity of the nation in Malaysia. So this particular initiative is meant for autistic children. Yes. So do you foresee that the application of the model to also be for other types of learning disabilities, for example, like dyslexia?
Very good question. Prof. Zarina, thank you very much for the question. We can tell from our framework, if the framework identified by the 20 professionals, and these 20 professionals has confirmed on the ability of the selection of the, components, So the components themselves are very carefully selected based on their expertise. So therefore, not only autistic children can benefit from these components, but we have gone through the theory of mind, suggested by the researchers, in order to include the inclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria meaning for the special need education. So meaning that it is very well adaptable, that we can use this also for other types of learning disabilities such as dyslexia or perhaps ADHD at the same time. However, for the current framework, let us start with the autistic. Hopefully it can be go on for other types of learning disabled.
Thank you. So the study that you have done, Dr. Mimi, has shown a number of benefits in implementing the model. Can you also perhaps share what could be, do you think, the challenges to implement the model throughout the scale manner in Malaysia?
All right, thank you, Prof. We found a lot of challenges. We are conducting the research actually. The first challenge is to meet the criteria needed by the professionals. Those should be very carefully done, because different expert has his own or her own framework, So in order to accommodate, that's why we are developing this Delphi method in order to avoid bias. So in order to establish the good end product of the framework analysis, we are collecting the procedures, all procedures systematically, and then the outcome of those procedures we are bringing to the parents and to present for them. So quite challenging because some parents from the B40 family, having difficulties in terms of understanding the concept, because we are creating the manual for the concept. So B40 family, due to the difficulty in technology, this is the biggest challenge for us to accommodate them. Hopefully if the government can support, it is much better. So the accommodation for the B40 family must be number one to consent, because actually a lot of the autistic children also coming from the B40 family. So however, those challenges, hopefully we can manage them, by minimizing from our manual to be easily accessed by all sectors or the level of the community.
Inshallah. Thank you, Ms. Mimi. There's one more question because we do have some extra time here. There's one question from Mr. He asked, how is the how significant improvement compared to probably he wants to ask what is the how significant is the improvement when using the model that you are testing right now? Is there any significant improvement?
Yes, thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. This is a very good question. We've been testing. Definitely, we are using the qualitative method here, and in order for us to balance the bias of the experts, framework of the perspectives, we must be very careful in terms of using the transcription. I mean, of course, we are referring to the transcription and then using this thematic analysis procedure. We could identify every single steps, from their experts, perspectives, in order for us to come up with the analysis later on. The method here, we are using Delphi because Delphi is very common to be used for both qualitative and quantitative. However, the maximum use for Delphi is very particular in qualitative because it can measure the validity of the procedures in terms of thematic analysis. So validation can be achieved through careful selection of the testing of the reliability. When we test the reliability, we are collecting all the the value from each main ideas. Yeah, so this methodology or this method procedure is very, very much improved in our capacity. It means that when we are using this in particular, it will reduce the bias. Yeah, to compare to the usual thematic analysis procedure. Yeah, the usual means we are using the open and then axial coding. Yeah, but this one, because of Delphi, is depending on the experts. Yeah. The validity and reliability must be coming from the experts only. Yeah, so this increases the chance of validity and reliability of each themes that we develop. Thank you, Bro.
Thank you very much, Miss Mimi.
I hope that answers the question, Bro.
That's a very good answer, actually. Thank you very much. So that was very enlightening session, and I wish you all the best for the model. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
All right. So thank you very much, Miss Mimi.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Zahid.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that was a very noble initiative, yeah, by our colleagues from University of Malaya Wales. Yeah? Congratulations to them, and hopefully all the best for their future endeavor. So we now have come to the fourth presentation. Yeah, let us now welcome the next presenter, Dr. Abdul Muttalib Embong from University Malaysia Terengganu (UMT), who will be presenting the paper entitled "The Critical Genre Analysis of Structure Moves in Internship Reports of Undergraduates." So let's play the video.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and good day to all. Welcome to ICMeSH PS1 R1. Okay, my name is Abdul Muttalib Embong, and for today, I would like to share with you our project or our research paper, and the title is "The Critical Genre Analysis of Structure Moves in Internship Reports of Undergraduates." Okay, moving on to the abstract of the paper. Genre analysis is one of the common ways to analyze the rhetorical structure of a text. This study attempts to identify the move structure in the method section of the engineering internship, final projects for students from one higher institution. The present study adopts a corpus-based analysis where 40 final projects from various engineering disciplines were taken. The method section framework is from Huang 2014, which based on Wugu 1997, and it is adapted for the analysis in addition to Kurt's 1985 model of intensity marker. And generally, the findings suggest that there are crucial moves in the method section of the final internship projects, which need to be adopted by the writers to enhance not only their discourse competency, but also to meet the reader's expectation of the text readability. And it seems that most of the concerned projects have not followed the proper way to write a methodology section. Besides, the student's writing style is lacking the coherence to present their ideas and discussion. Such cohesive intensity markers are addressed as one of the strategies in order to negotiate their claims and to make their writings persuasive and credible. The result also indicate that the overall distribution of intensity markers in students' internship projects are very limited. Okay, now, moving on to the introduction of the study, I just want to quote by Flower Dew 2015 and Konasipatam, where they say writing a project is one of the genres in academic writing and regard as one way to share and communicate new information to the academic committee members. And it involves the presentation of the research finding, knowledge sharing, and so forth. Okay, and here also I highlight about the discourse competency, where it has been proposed that writers who wish to share their research findings with the academic community successfully should acquire the discourse competency. Okay, for this study, we use the theory, okay, and the data for this study actually consists of 40 projects of internship for various engineering disciplines from one institution, and it explored the research methodology section regarding the theories used. We used the study adopted by Huang's 2014 framework on the structural moves and Kurt's 1985 model of intensity markers as shown in the table below. Okay. So, hold on. Okay, this is table 1 table 1 by Huang's 2014, where there are 4 moves. Move 1 describes the study materials, and there are 2 steps here. 1 describing type of data collection, and 2 describing the source for data collection. Move 2 provide inclusion criteria, and there are 2 steps as well. 1 describing the sample step, and 2 describing the characteristic. Move 3 describe procedures, and the step 1 is taking the measurements, and step 2 justifying the procedures. And last, move 4, present the analysis of the experiment, where it involves only 1 step, that is statistical test techniques. Okay, now this is table 2 by Kurt's model of intensity markers, where it put emphasis on 3 intensity markers. 1 emphasizes, 2 amplifiers, and 3 downtoners. Okay, let's go to the procedure of data analysis. To carry out the analysis, first text analysis program, linguistic inquiry, and word count (LIW) are used, which involve to perform an intensive linguistic analysis on each individual text. Then manual analysis was performed in order to make sure that whether words identified as emphasizers, amplifiers, and downtoners, which can really function at the same time or not. And this is the result. Okay, you can see for the move 1 describing study materials, okay, it refers to the description of the materials used for the experiments of this study, and it involved the 2 steps as I mentioned earlier. Okay, and I've shown you the sample of step 1 and step 2 respectively, as well, as you can refer to the slide. Okay, move 2 is providing inclusion criteria, and for this move, we found that 52 RAs, or 87 of the whole corpus. Okay, the sentences are shown in sentence C and D to demonstrate the steps. Move 3 is describing the procedures, and for this move, it described the procedures taken in order to obtain the findings, and it appeared in all the RAs, 100% of the corpus. Thus, this signifies the importance of this move in the section. The finding corresponds with Kanasi Lapatum 2005, who adopted the Swales framework where detailing methodological procedure. And for this one, we show you the sample of C and G. Move 4 is presenting the analysis of the experiment, and it appears in almost every RA of the corpus, where 52 RAs out of 60, or 87%. And this move serves as a description of the statistical test techniques and calculation for the data. And in this move, the software used and the justification for their users are provided. Move 4 is not to be appearing in the last part of the method section. Okay, next, okay, the summary of the structure method section. identified from the scopus, as you can see here. Okay. Okay, so what we can say, the findings reveals that the move 1 is an optional move in the engineering RA's writing. The analysis on the most frequent verbs in the method section of the corpus reveals that the structures are mostly in the past tense and of passive construction. The three word classes of the verbs provide an insight into most common fixed words in the method section of the corpus, and the fixed words reflects the rhetorical intent of the structure. To conclude, we can say that the RA writing consists of scientific communication elements which depend heavily on the ability of the writer to use the appropriate structure and language in the field. The main goal of writing an RA is to help the readers understand the concept and the ideas that the writer intends to propose. Therefore, appropriate writing skills need to be acquired by writers to ensure that the new knowledge that has been explored can be shared with the readers. This study actually demonstrates that the rhetorical structure of an RA of any discipline can be analyzed and understood from different frameworks. And the findings also provide another possible way of approaching the write-up of engineering students. Well, I think that's all our presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I wish all of us the best in this COVID-19.
All right, thank you very much for the very interesting presentation by Dr. Abdul Muttalib Embong. It is indeed important to meet the expectations of the audience when writing reports. I'm sure that there are many questions from the audience. Unfortunately, Dr. Abdul Muttalib is not able to join us today. So if you have any questions, just please let you can drop in the live chat and we can share with Dr. Abdul. Also insert your email address. Yeah? So let's now move on to the next presentation. We shall now proceed to Ms. Hadil Kanan from University Technology Petronas. Be presenting the paper entitled Investigating the Text Difficulty of the Malaysian Patient Information Leaflets.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is well and safe. My paper research topic is investigating the text difficulty of the Malaysian patient information leaflets, and my name is Hadil Kanan Ibrahim. This is the outline of my paper. Now we'll start with the background. PILs are considered health documents containing educational information, and in 1992, they were set out as a legal genre, and in 1999 became an obligatory applicant. Their aim was having clear, direct, simple, and understandable information. In 2004 and 2005, guidelines on readability and labeling published. In 2009, European Commission emphasized on content, design, layout, and syntax of PILs. As per the difficulties faced by people, patient information leaflets were considered as communicatively complex, and they were product liability documents, obligatory, heavily legally regulated genre, and they have complex structures. The language is considered complex, and they were written by experts and specialists. PILs also template also was considered as difficult because it follows fixed legislations. Their content, design, and layout is another difficulty, and they suffer from low readability. Problem statement is that first, the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency, NIPRA, in the Malaysian Ministry of Health, has rewrote the PILs of almost all the medications found in pharmacies according to their regulations. And these PILs have not been investigated to know whether they are easy to read and understand as indicated by the NIPRA or not. Two, a significant gap in terms of content, text difficulty, and organization of the Malaysian PILs has been reported. Research questions. Number one, how does the revised Malaysian PILs influence on the patient's ability to read, understand, and locate the required information in these PILs? And another question is that raised by this research is how are organization, design, and layout used in these revised Malaysian PILs? As for the research objectives, the first objective is that investigating the text difficulty of 20 Malaysian revised PILs, whether the information presented in these PILs is easy to read, understand, and locate by patients. And objective two, evaluating the design and layout of these 20 revised PILs. Now we came to the research methodology. 20 PILs were used in this research, 10 of diabetes and another of hypertension PILs. The reason why I used these two diseases because they were highly and commonly appear in Malaysia as chronic diseases. Now, as for the methodology used, I used two stages in this research. Stage one, I used the readability test and choose three readability tests: flash reading ease, flash Kincaid grade level, Gunning-Fox index. I used these two tests to evaluate the text difficulty of these 20 PILs. And in the second stage, I used Baker-Appel leaflet design methods to analyze the linguistic characteristics and to evaluate the design quality of these PILs. Now we come to the results and discussions of stage one. The average score gained from the FRE of both diabetes and the hypertension leaflets were 50.3 and 49.69 respectively. And the average score gained from the KFGL of diabetes and the hypertension leaflets were 10.57 to 10.68 respectively. Okay, this means that the texts were fairly difficult to read according to fresh reading ease and flash Kincaid grade level. Now we came to the Gunning-Fox index readability test. The average score gained from this test of diabetes and the hypertension leaflets were 12.86 to 12.63 respectively. So this means that the texts were hard, difficult, and requires literacy skills of a college graduate. Now the reading level required to comprehend the 20 PILs was 10th to 5th. In Malaysia, this is equivalent to secondary school students to college students whom age is around 14 to 19 years old. 17 PILs were written within an average sentence length of 13 to 19, which is accepted. Now we come to the results and discussions of stage 2. The average mean of both diabetes and the hypertension leaflets were 20.1 to 19.5 respectively. Now, the level of acceptability of the diabetes leaflets was assessed as the following. 20% were rated as standard, while 80% were rated as poor, and all the hypertension leaflets were rated as poor. Now, almost all the leaflets under investigation were considered poor in their design and layout, and all the leaflets do not use shorter lines as required by the legislations, and they lack the accurate separation of the lines, and using more italics word which weaken comprehension, according to Kitching 1990, and pictures or diagrams were not used. As for the conclusion, objective 1 text difficulty, in spite of the PIL's readability improvements carried out by the Malaysian Ministry of Health, the investigated PIL's texts were considered fairly difficult to read and understand. Now, such texts were best understood by high school students and college graduates, and they require high literacy skills. For Objective 2, which were concerned with text design, concerning the design quality, most of the leaflets had poor design, except some aspects such as the font size, numbering, and using the bold type in headings. Text difficulty and poor design of these PILs can reduce the PIL's appreciation by patients who use these leaflets as their primary source of health information. Moreover, the low acceptability level of the PILs will discourage patients from reading them. Consequently, this will influence the whole process of patients' treatment and self-therapy. For further research, it is required to explore deeply the readability and usability of the Malaysian PILs by involving patients to test the readability of the PILs to ensure the reliability, diversity, and efficiency of the results. Thank you for your concern.
Thank you very much to Ms. Hadil Kanan. That was a very interesting presentation on the leaflets, a study on leaflet for diabetes and hypertension patients. Yeah? Right. But unfortunately, Ms. Hadil able to join us for the Q&A session. So we're going to have to move to the next presenter. Yeah, and for that, I would like to welcome the next presenter, who is Ms. Nguyen Thi Thao Ho from FPT University, Vietnam, yeah, to be with us today. And who will be presenting a paper entitled Teaching English as a Foreign Language in Vietnam, Transitioning from the Traditional Learning Approach to the Blended Learning Approach. So let's welcome the video.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Today, it is my pleasure to represent my team to present the topic in teaching English as a foreign language in Vietnam, transitioning from the traditional learning approach to the blended learning approach. There are four main points in the presentation: introduction, methodology, finding, and conclusion. Introduction. During the age of transformation, Vietnamese university right now aim to enhance learning activity in face-to-face classroom and personalize the online learning of learner. The context of the study, we conduct the study in the vocational learning in Hanoi campus, Vietnam. The vocational learning, they pilot the blended learning in 2012, but at this first time there was still some limitation. We have just the lecture slide, not video. We transfer from textbook to slide, and sometimes the students at that time they fail complete their task. They feel lack of motivation, engagement, and limited interaction between instructor and student. And for some reason, the temporary stop for blended learning in 2015. In 2019, we start again. We change the platform from the LMS to ICMeSH course management system with more function, work more effectively. We have each online and each screen to check the student understand the lesson or not. We also have a face-to-face class to use for student practice, activity learning, and foster the motivation skill. They have 3 questions. What is the status of blended learning of implementation in English course at the Polytechnic? How do the Polytechnic lecturer perceive the implementation of blended learning in English course? How do the Polytechnic students perceive the implementation of blended learning in English course? There are some benefits for the student. They can get the rich resources of learning. They have a flexible time to study anywhere and anytime. they have a collaboration between student and teacher more often, not on in offline class, but also in online platform and online tool. Blended learning bring some benefit for the lecturer. It can assist the lecturer in facilitating interaction and collaboration. It can help the student and lecturer communication using online tool during the self-learning session. And more than that, the lecturer can know what students know and how they feel the aspect of their learning when they study in. Not only bring the benefit, it also cause some challenge. It unlike a traditional approach, learning to a level of student discipline and responsively. Therefore, some students they have a fight challenge to study by themselves, because in high school they have a church, have the class teacher in the center rather than the student in the center. And last but not least, the students are not familiar with the web-based technology and computer. Sometimes it prevents them accessing online and use online effectively. For lecturer, they suspect and concern the quality, the time, and how the technology and support during the time of implementation. They feel that it's too much workload, a lot of time and effort to set up learning environment. And in Vietnam, they have some limited, we call the contact classroom in the teacher center. And sometimes students lack of the official training program on how to employing technology by implication in their instruction. In this study, we use the regulation method approach. We conduct the student survey to the student and at the same time conduct in-depth interview for the lecturer. The population student focus on the non-elite major fresh student and the in-depth interview with 5 full-time elite lecturer. They have a 3 negative perspective. They have a little training on the teacher and student when we conduct the blended learning. Have some challenge because the student have a low elite fluency to interact in the class activity, and sometimes reduction in offline class reduce the lecturer income. But above all, it have the good positive perspective when it can develop the professional and interpersonal skill. Finding of student survey, how about the overall cost management from 80 to 84% of students were satisfied with this one. For the cost materials program, around 80 to 82 respondents have a agreement when they can get the sufficient cost material and reference in a time manner at the beginning of the course. Around 80 students were satisfied with the way students use teaching strategy and technique in class. There are 3 key issues faced by students because they have a low background in high school and they have a familiar with traditional learning as a result, low level of progression to learn. The second, when they at home, they lose concentration for many restrictions and they have insufficiently prepared for active learning during offline class. And sometimes the English competent and fluency is low, they are not able to learn by themselves. When on 100% the learning material in English, there are 4 key recommendations. The student, they will get out of the border of the old experience. You would have a new methodology, tool, and approach to EFL teaching. We have a official training for the lecturer and orientation for students every semester. Offer instances to motivate students they can pursue in the long term. And last but not least, offer the service 24 hours per week, 7 days for online mentoring, tutoring for students. There are 2 key limitations because response rate just around 33%, and the scope just limited to non-English major fresh and full-time lecturer in one campus. Next time we must conduct in on campus and they have a comparative study to explore among this campus. Thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you so much for your attention. And it's time for the Q&A. Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
That was a very interesting presentation. Thank you very much, Miss Nguyen.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Now, we do have questions, Miss Nguyen, yeah, from the live chat box. So the first question is from Dr. Rosalind. She would like to know, how does the transition in BL, blended learning, to full online learning environment differ from the pre-COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, before the COVID-19, 100% the fundamental English course were taught in blended learning. The students, they study by themselves at home, and in class we just focus on the speaking and listening skill. We want to enhance the communication skill for the student. But after right now in Vietnam, the COVID-19, the school locked down and closed, and we must use the we have still the learning management system for the online class, but have the offline to promote the communication skill. We use the Google Meet to teach students. Yeah, we have one of competence because we the FPT corporation. We're very strong in the technology, and right now we're familiar with the technology system before the COVID-19. When we transformed before COVID and during COVID, we're very active and dynamic and proactive to do everything.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I really like the words that you used just now. Anytime and anywhere, right? The words that you used just now in the video.
Yeah, because most of the students in from the half, they just 18 and 20, they're very familiar with the high tech, and they use iPad, iPhone, and most of them they have the full time school, and sometimes they have a part time to have an income, and they can study everywhere and on the way, maybe at the work. Because we have a class not only in the morning, afternoon, we also have a class in the evening. For some people, they have a not good condition to study high university. They can study after they working for the because we are the member of the vocational college.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, because they are all the younger generation, they are the digital natives, right?
Yeah.
Devices, yeah. So it will be very easy for them to use. Before we end, Ms. Nguyen, I'm just because we are now currently going through control order due to the pandemic. Therefore, students will definitely have to learn online. Yeah? So, how are things there in Vietnam? How bad is the situation?
Yeah, right now with the same case with you, we close school from the May, and right now in the summer semester, we must 100% online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's hope that this pandemic will be over soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Nguyen, for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Asana. Yeah, I am also a student in the UTB. I'm the student under supervision of Dr. Surana.
Okay. There's actually one more question, if you don't mind. Yeah, there's one more question from Miss Siti Mariam Abdullah. She asked, how do you plan to provide 24/7 or 24 hours tutoring to the students?
Yeah, we have two kind of tutoring. We have the student tutoring. They can support together. We have the Facebook fan page, and we use the Zalo. It is similar to WhatsApp. They can support each other. It's something the issue is complicated. They can transfer from the student tutoring to the lecturer tutoring. Yeah, and English lecturer in the contact, they're very active, and they social media to help the student beside the class hour.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Nguyen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for question.
So, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, let's welcome our final presenter in this session. Once again, please welcome Ms. Hadil Kanan from University Technology Petronas for her second presentation entitled Investigating the Syntactic Structures of Patient Information Leaflets. So let's play the video.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hadil Kanan Ibrahim, and my research paper topic is investigating the syntactic structures of patient information leaflets. This is the outline of my research. Now I'll start with the background. Patient information leaflets, or PILs, are health documents containing educational information for people who use their medication. Their aim is to have clear, direct, simple, and understandable information. And in 2004-2005, guidelines were published on readability and labeling. In 2009, the European Commission emphasized on content, design, layout, and syntax of PILs. As for the difficulties faced by people, most of the difficulties were concerned with the linguistic complexity of these PILs, and they were considered as product liability documents because they are obligatory, heavily legally regulated genre. Okay, and most people says that PILs have complex structures, language, especially using medical expressions, and the way they are written. And most of the reason is that because they were written by experts and specialists. Now we come to the problem statement of this research. First of all, previous studies have only focused on improving the PIL's readability, organization, and layout. And then a significant gap in terms of how syntactic structures have impact on text comprehensibility has been reported. And investigating language difficulty regarding the use of the syntactic structures is the aim of this, is what we are going to do in this research. Now, the research question arises here is how are the syntactic structures? And I emphasize on common, negation, and passive because these are the most important syntactic structures and commonly used in the PILs. How these syntactic structures used in the Malaysian PILs, and how can they influence on the patient's ability to read, understand, and their ability to locate the required information in these leaflets. So the research objective would be investigating the use of the syntactic structures, which I mentioned previously, common, negation, and passive, in the Malaysian PILs and their influence on users or readers' difficulty in understanding these PILs. As for the research methodology used in this research, the researcher conducted two studies to analyze these syntactic structures. Study one, I followed the descriptive analysis of 10 diabetes PILs. As I said, diabetes is one of the commonly and highly appeared chronic diseases in Malaysia. I used the ICMeSH PS1 statistics version 22 in order to test or to record the frequency and percentage of each syntactic structure. And in study 2, reading comprehension questionnaire was conducted to around 210 respondents. This questionnaire was written by the researcher. So we have, the researcher used two texts. One is the original one, and another one is the revised text by the researcher. In order to test the impact on comprehension, okay? Now we come to the results of study one. The first syntactic structure was command, as can you see, the mean was 36. Commands were divided into two kinds: direct instructions by using the normal use of command by starting with a verb, and then we have indirect instructions. The direct instruction occurrence were 61%, while indirect instructions occurrence were 39%. According to Sless and Shrensky, on their guidelines, they recommended using the direct commands more than the indirect, because readers assume always that the most important matter will come first in a sentence or paragraph, and often they only read the first part of any sentence. Okay, we found out that the commands were not so clear or direct. This is why, because sometimes we use some syntax structures to convey the commands, like using passive, modals, and so on. This causes the action to be lost. And another thing is that there were wrong placement of commands. This causes confusion on the part of the patient, of course, and this action to be compressed with other commands and gets lost in the sentence. Now, as for negation, the mean of negation, 26, we have two kinds: morphological negation and sentential negation. The morphological negation occurrence were 23%, and the sentential negation occurrence were the explicit one 78%, and the implicit one is 2%. Okay. As for negation, all the leaflets performed quite well concerning using fewer negation forms in the side effects especially, which is recommended in the previous studies. Now we come to the third syntax structure, which is passive. The mean was 21, and we have two kinds of passive, which is more commonly used in PILs, which is simple present passive, and they score 71% occurrence, and infinitive passive, which scores 29% occurrence. According to Amdor et al. 2010, the medical text writers should make a passive voice frequency of equal or less 10% as a requirement for publishing at all types of medical works. And the percentage of the frequency in the diabetes shown leaflets was 2%. So they were acceptable in their use of passive voice, because according to previous studies, most of the scientists or authors says that they recommend that, and especially the European Commission recommends that passive should be used less to overcome the confused happened. Now we come to study 2, which is concerned with conducting the questionnaire, the comprehension questionnaire. In this questionnaire, we have original text and the revised text by the researcher. We emphasize on these three syntax structures, and we, as you see, we found that command were occurrence in the original text were 27%, while in the revised text 100. Sorry, not occurrence, the acceptancy of the respondents, and while the revised text 183 respondents percent of them were said it's better. The passive voice, the original text, 42% of the respondents said it's okay, while in the revised text 168% of the respondents said it's more better than the original. As for negation, 51% of the respondents say it's okay, while in the revised text, 159% of the respondents say it's better than the original text. So we conclude that most of the respondents gave positive feedback, and they chose the revised text as easier to read and understand. The original text of the current PILs need to be reconsidered in their way of writing, and this can influence on people's adherence to read the whole PILs. Also, the PILs under investigation need to be promoted unchanged and reconsidered again, especially in the area of using the above syntactic structures. Now we come to the conclusions. The researcher concluded that though the use of the syntactic structures seemed appropriate, they were not written according to the recommendations and guidelines of the European Commission or Sless and Shransky in 2006. More attention must be paid to the negative impact of using such structures on the perception of the patients, because using negative words or expression will reduce the PIL appreciation by patients who use these leaflets as their primary source of health information. Comments should be written in bold font or numbered and using the direct ones to attract the reader's attention. Using also positive rather than negative instructions, because negative introduces an opposite meaning always. The contribution is that the current research contributes to the Health Commission area, communication area in Malaysia. This is the first study, as far as our knowledge, to investigate the text complexity of the Malaysian PIL thoroughly. And it is a cross-disciplinary study, involves examining the Malaysian PILs from two academic disciplines, which are linguistic and medicine. Now, this research investigated an important aspect of language, which is the syntactic structures and their use and impact on the text difficulty of the PILs. This research work adds to the established literature on text difficulty of PILs and patient empowerment by investigating the difficulty and comprehension of PIL for the aim of educating, instructing, and informing consumers to support their decision-making process. This is the end of my research paper. Thank you.
Thank you again to Ms. Hadil Kanan. Unfortunately, she is not able to join us live today, but please feel free to type your questions and we shall relay to Ms. Hadil. But make sure that you put your name there so that we can communicate with you later. So ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this parallel session. I hope you have benefited from the knowledge sharing by the speakers as much as I have enjoyed chairing the session. So, but the organizer would like to invite all speakers. Before we move to the next session, the organizer would like to invite all speakers today to be on screen for a quick photo taking session. Ms. Nguyen, maybe you can switch on the video. Ms. Nguyen? Okay. All right, I guess we're done. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much again to all speakers. Well done on the excellent delivery today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Zarina.
Thank you. So now we would like to invite everyone to another channel to attend the opening ceremony of ESCON 2020. You can exit this channel and proceed to the itinerary page for the link to the next event. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.